Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Friday, January 25th, 2019. My name is Rich, and joining me once again is Bijan. How you making out?
Bro, I am so sick. It happens every year. I can't be the only one. Right when the temperature changes, my body just shuts down.
It's weird how that works. I mean, I don't think it's related necessarily, not directly, but I feel like there's something about the cold weather. I mean, cold weather, what is it, 65 degrees there? You're like bundling up.
Yeah, it's cold.
Here we just got covered in ice. It is absolutely ridiculous. I sent you a video of someone ice skating up and down the street, like up and down a hill. It is crazy here right now.
Yeah, that's death.
But this week, we are going to have an easy episode, I hope. We'll try to get you out of here fast. I know you're not feeling well. You are going to talk about Titan games, because you know what? I have tapped out. I'm done with Titan games. I'm sorry, everyone. I have no interest in watching that show, and I think I'm done.
Yeah, I kind of am too. I mean, it's not awful, guys. It's really not awful, but it's not great. It's just there. And I have a feeling a lot of people, our listeners also just are kind of, oh, that was cute, but it's really not for me. It really doesn't have the feeling of an obstacle course show. And they do have the stories and everything, but it's just not all there. I'll go into it more, but more so, let everybody know what's coming up with our schedule, man, because I actually am really, really excited of what we're going to be covering next month. That's right.
So coming up, USA versus the World was announced, is coming up this Sunday. So shortly after you're listening to this, probably. Sunday, January 27th will be USA versus the World, which is always exciting, very, very interesting, and we'll be talking a little preview here today about that. We also have ANW the game coming. How exciting is that? There's going to be a video game. Both of us are gamers. We'll talk about that briefly on this episode as well.
Oh boy, y'all.
Yeah, and most importantly, I think what trumps everything else is ANW Junior will be back soon to rescue us from Titan games and everything else.
Please come back, please. Oh, A&W Junior, I did not realize how much I'd miss you, but I miss you. But dude, I really want to cover Sasuke also. The latest version, I can't even call it season, whatever special is Sasuke. That released earlier this year, guys, and I have heard a lot of buzz about it. I purposely been avoiding spoilers like crazy, but super psyched to be covering that at some point in the upcoming weeks.
That's right. We're going to get that in as well. I didn't manage to avoid all the spoilers, but it should be good. I'm looking forward to it. So right off the bat here, let's what do we want to knock out first? Let's talk about ANW the game. As I said, we are both gamers, pretty avid video game enthusiasts, definitely ANW enthusiasts.
For actually years earlier in my life, I was a video game journalist. So I keep very close tabs to the industry.
Well, there you go. And I got to say, neither one of us has any interest in playing this game. Well, that's not true. I would like to try it, but I am not paying for this game. It does not look good, to be fully honest.
Yeah, I feel bad because, I don't know if the intentions are good from the developers, but, the developers come from a mobile game background, and it really shows. This game is severely lacking in terms of quality, graphics, but also gameplay. Now, this game, if it does run off and become a thing, it would be based on kind of the Let's Play craze of bad games with very piss poor, I guess, gameplay being implemented and played by influencers or people with a lot of personality and things like that. But really, those games are so bad they become good. And this game, unfortunately, does seem to be a cash grab that we've seen in earlier 90s and 2000s games where they have a property, but the passion just is very lacking.
Yeah, it seems that way. I'd love to be wrong. That would be very cool if there is a good A&W game out there. So to, anyone out there that plays it, I definitely want to hear. Anybody that goes out and buys it, let us know. Let us know if we're wrong. If it ends up being a great game, maybe we'll reconsider. But from what we've seen, the previews are out there. It just does not look good.
Bro, let's be real. I mean, it's gonna take a miracle. Those trailers look like hot garbage. But like, I can't judge the people behind the game because I just don't know. Maybe they just don't have, the expertise to make something like this. And NBC just basically was like, hey, us a game. But whoever's to blame for this creation, this could have been something really special. We've seen FIFA, we've seen even Olympic games, games where it could be short little, I guess, mini game compilations. We've seen things like that implemented very well. This, I don't know how the gameplay is going to be doing the obstacles in this, but even the animations and the graphics, like nothing really screams to be of quality. And I'm not talking about this is being made for like, your mobile phone or something. I mean, this is for the PlayStation 4, Xbox, like all the console, things. Very lacking. I am woefully unimpressed. But
do you think they could have made a good one? That's one question I've had. You just mentioned the Olympics. Have there been successful, good, entertaining Olympic games? Because that would be a fair comparison.
I mean, it's all subjective, of course, but in my opinion, there have been, especially in recent years. I forget the name of it, but there's a game that came out recently. And if you guys look up Let's Plays, like it was being played within the past year of a compilation of various, like Olympic type sports. And it's actually really fun. It's a multiplayer game with 4 different people. Man, I wish I can just, tell you guys right off the bat. But there have been games, to answer your question, Rich, there have been games, short compilation mini games, that have been very successful and fun. And with that, the bar really isn't that high, though. I mean, we just need a competent game where, you can do things like the salmon ladder, or maybe you can even do it for the way of like racing each other in Ninja versus Ninja format. And maybe the game will have that. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, just from what I've seen, it looks like a complete cash grab. And I hope I'm wrong. I will not be spending my money on this, though. $40? No thank you.
Yeah, I to be honest, from what we've seen, if it was $20, I still wouldn't get it. It would have to be, if it was $10, I would probably grab it. That's probably about the price range I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, but you brought up a good point before we started recording, Rich, which was a question on if the ninjas were going to be compensated because, well, why don't you go off the bat of what led you to this question?
Right. So I originally kind of assumed there was a tie-in. We've seen Matt and Akbar in the game very clearly. They voice over it. And then when you watch the trailer, there are definitely some recognizable ninjas. And I mean, ninja and compensation has not been good over the years, right? So I thought maybe this was a way to get them some money. I thought that would be good if that was what the case was. But I get the distinct impression that there was no exchange of money and that it's not officially the ninjas, even though let's just say there is a blonde with a very distinct, starry skirt on with blonde hair in the promo that leads me to believe that they were definitely hinting that it was somebody specific.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. The graphics are so bad. I mean, it's like you can't 100%, maybe have a case, but yeah. I just don't know. But let's hope they are being compensated because in a lot of sports, like, wrestling and things like that, the wrestlers aren't paid all that well, in the grand scheme of things, unless you're like John Cena or something like that. But one thing that they always talk about in that industry is the fact that the video game royalties for being paid for their likenesses, they actually get paid very, very well from that. And this could be a case where, hey, maybe some of the more popular ninjas could be compensated quite well. I hope so. I doubt it, but I hope so.
So as part of the promo, it says players can test their skills with friends and family in couch multiplayer mode or take on the challenging career mode to train and compete all the way to Mount Midoriyama. And someone's comment was, rumor has it that the challenging career mode includes opening your own gym and charging kids for a birthday FaceTime. which I thought was pretty
Oh,
great.
oh, the shade. Oh man.
And it was not meant to be a diss on the ninjas themselves. It was a comment. They clarified, basically saying that a ninja career doesn't exactly exist right now.
I mean, they aren't wrong, right? I mean, a lot of the ninjas, more popular ninjas, they become namesakes within the community, and they're well known. The Najis, the Daniel Gills, Drew Dreschels, Joe Morosky's. But when you actually talk or look up the ninjas and their way of being paid and way of living, it isn't necessarily, oh, I got all this money from being on the show, right? And even though they
Right.
are technically reality TV stars, and any other reality TV show would pay their stars quite well, that is not their main source of, whatever, like money, compensation, whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah. And if you're wondering about the FaceTime comment, that's referring to a site called ninjafave.com, ninjafav.com, which
Bro,
I just
I
learned
had no
about.
idea this was a thing. Did you?
Yeah. No, I didn't. I just learned that. So if you wanted to get your kid a birthday greeting from one of the ninjas, and there are pretty much anyone you'd want is on there, or most of them, yeah, hit it up. It's pretty cool. Maybe Bijan could be on there.
I'm good. How much are they charging?
$80.
Ow! Ow! What?
Get into
No.
it, man. Get on there.
No.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say like $10 or something like that, or $5.
No, I'm pretty sure it was
$80?
$80. Yeah, when I looked, because I thought
Oh
I
my
thought it would be hilarious
God.
to get Andrew Lowe's to call you for your birthday, to be honest. But I'm not paying $80.
Is it like, or is it flat $80, or are there some like $10 ones for like the
That-
lesser known ninjas?
I thought the same thing. I picked a lesser known ninja, and it was the same rate.
Oh my God. $80?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but hey, I'm pretty sure Matt Eisman does it cheaper. I forget what site that is, but I know Matt's on something similar. I think it's cheaper than that.
Bro, just like hit him up on Twitter. I mean,
No,
we're
but
gonna
I mean,
be like,
think about
hey,
it.
you have to go to this website, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, oh, wow.
Yeah, it's kinda crazy.
Okay. Wow, that was a complete blindside. I had no, wow. All right, well, hey, make your money if that works, guys. Okay.
So ninjafave.com, if you want to sponsor us, like we would totally be on board with that. That's quite a service you got going there, and it sounds like you're doing pretty well for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, hit us up.
All right, so that is ANW the game. USA versus the world. Let's talk about that.
Yes. Oh my God. Where did this come from, bro? Like, for me, complete, like, it just I knew USA versus the world happens every January, and I knew it was coming up. And shame on me because it's like the end of January, but I was not ready for this, and I am so psyched.
Well, that's the thing. Like, why do we never know what's coming till it's like right on top of us? Like, totally forget every time. And it is exciting. Like there's just so much going on, right? And so much has changed up this year. Some different choices they made in the competitors. Most notably, bringing in some female competitors and one of the rookies.
I am
really kind
so
of mixing
excited
it up.
about the female representation. I think that is going to be the biggest story of this next special, is how much not only female representation, but high tier, like high caliber, amazing female athletes and the personalities involved. Like, I'm really excited. Now, we are going to have a little bit more of a focused contest in the fact that we have 3 teams, but actually, I low-key welcome that, Rich. How do you feel about the fact that we have 3 teams?
I think we have to gracefully accept that that's where we're at. I think Japan has, made some valiant efforts over the years. Sasuke is still great and entertaining, but the USA versus the world competitions have not been kind to them, and it just seems wrong to keep bringing them back, and it's just not making it a feel-good vibe.
Yeah, it's kind of painful. I think it speaks in some ways more to the to how much what I like about Sasuke and the Japanese version of it, where it is a lot more of everyday people competing. Now there are, there are the exceptions to the rule. But if you think about the greats in Sasuke, I mean, you're talking about a fisherman, Makata Nagano, just a fisherman that decided to dedicate himself to this. And, if you go down the long list of their gas station, operators and then eventual managers, their firefighters, things like that. When you talk about American Ninja Warrior, or in particular, USA versus the world, you're talking about these high class athletes, these world class rock climbers, and so on and so forth. And of course, there are going to be the people where it's like, hey, I started in this and then I started dedicating myself to the sport itself. And that's fine. But I guess it's even though it's under the same name, the ideology behind the athletes involved with the shows are vastly different when you're talking about American Ninja Warrior, the European representation for USA versus the world, and the Sasuke athletes themselves.
Yeah, I think the compensation, the prize money, has changed the face of it in America, right? Even though it's basically a lottery, like the odds are so crazy, just having that there has made people dedicate themselves and, quit their jobs and focus on it and open gyms. And it's just become so much more than, a part-time thing. So it's almost like watching, the professionals and amateurs in the Olympics, right? When you have that discrepancy between the different countries there, it's just not a fair playing field sometimes.
Yeah, but with that said, there's nothing wrong with both approaches. Sasuke, it is enjoyable and it is fun. But then I really enjoy the fact that we do get on American Ninja Warrior a good mix between everyday folk and the top tier athletes that dedicate themselves. So much so that it became a season and a big phenomenon. Where Sasuke, is like, I think twice a year a special. So different approaches, but both work in their own respects.
It's true. So we have a very different looking team this year. Definitely a change from what we're used to, and a welcome change at that. We've got, on Team USA, we have Matisse Awadi, Barclay Stockett, Jesse Lebrec, Najee Richardson, and Drew Dreschel.
A very young team.
It is, and it's a very, I don't know, diverse. Is that the word I'm looking for? Maybe. It's just got a range of skills and a range of our favorite personalities, and it's the people we want to see do it. I mean, I kind of feel bad for Sean Bryan. I feel like that guy's just overlooked constantly. But other than that, I think this is a really great team and full of people that I want to see do well.
Yeah, and actually, you brought up a good point when you said diverse in terms of skill sets. I didn't really think about that, but you are right. A lot of these ninjas come to this with, various different specialties in terms of their backgrounds and their approaches to the sport. So I'm really curious to see how that's implemented. Very astute on you, Rich. And man, I just think this is what we need. Fresh faces, it's always subjective of who's at the very top of A&W and stuff like that. But really, I want to see just a good representative team for America take on Team Europe and Team Australia. And I think this is great. In particular, the fact that we have Barclay Stockett and Jesse Lebrec. I mean, two very, very strong female ninjas.
Yeah, and this gives them another chance to inspire the young girls out there, the young women competing in the sport. Like, there is no downside to this, and I want to see them, complete stage 1, complete stage 2. This is how we got to see Jesse Graff beat stage 2, was from USA versus the World. So there's lots of great things that come from it, some very exciting moments. Very excited to see how it went, because this was recorded last year, obviously, but still exciting.
And yeah, one thing to keep an eye out for is the fact that they are putting the Rocket fully behind Matisse. I mean, he is getting a top spot in terms of top representative of America. And he's going to get a lot of screen time for this special. So let's see. Obviously, this was filmed, as you said, last year. But I'm very interested to see how Matisse does in his second year in ANW, because right now he's kind of like the Najee Richardson, Daniel Gill, or like the top prospect of the year.
Yeah, he's one of them. Like, he did as well as, possibly a little better than a couple other people. There are other people that did just as well as he did, but he got the airtime to beat them all. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if he can live up to it. One other thing we need to mention, Australia and Europe are the other teams, and both of those have a female competitor on them as well. And who do we have for Team Australia?
Oh my God, Olivia Vivian, bro. Like, if you guys don't know about this woman, she is so amazing. She was in the Wolfpack Ninja Tour finals, I think, right? Like, she was beating some top-tier female ninjas over there, right?
Yeah, and I believe, and we probably should fact-check these things, but we'll just go off the top of her head. If I'm not mistaken, isn't she the only woman to ever complete Stage 1 at National Ninja League?
I'll say yes.
I'm going to say yes.
I have no idea, but sure.
I think so. I'm pretty sure on that one.
Yeah, what I do know is her name has been in the regional American Ninja Warrior circuit for a long time. You know, even though she is from Australia, because of that, we don't see her properly, represented on American Ninja Warrior. She is a very, very high caliber athlete. And she's been talked about for a while now, right, Rich? At least in the past 2 years.
Yeah, and beyond her skill set, which is, second to none, she is incredibly entertaining, too. She absolutely steals the show. So much fun to watch. I think you're all going to be, for those that aren't familiar with her, you are going to be amazed at how charismatic and talented she is.
Yeah, very charismatic, and I'm talking about the tier of Jesse Graff, Jesse Lebrec, Barclay Stockett, all of those female ninjas. I mean, I'm not being hyperbolic here. She is very, very top tier class.
Beyond that, I don't think we're going to run through the other teams. We'll be covering them all in detail once we actually see the special.
AKA,
but
we
exciting.
have no idea half these people. I mean, let's be real. We could name out like their backgrounds of what they've done, but like, who knows? I mean, you're all gonna see it this weekend.
That's right.
But hey, Team Europe, it's that Sean guy. He's still on that, right? Sean McCall, is that it?
Yeah, maybe. Is he there?
Well, we'll say yes again.
Oh, I thought you looked at I actually didn't even look at the teams yet. I haven't gone into the detail. I'm going to assume he's there. He better be there. He's the Canadian Ninja Warrior. He better be there.
Yeah, like I feel like he has become the prototypical, like the top boss. Like he's the end boss of the everything. Like when you think, the European team leader, it's always him. And Drew Dreschel or Joe Morosky is always the American one.
Yeah. It used to be Tim Sheaf, I believe, for Europe, but really Sean McCall's kind of stepped up and he's that guy. All right, so we just have one exciting thing left to cover. We've got Titan Games. That says it all. I think that noise you just made probably sums up Titan Games.
Titan Games, I mean, once again, I don't know. We all saw the writing on the wall with this show. What's really interesting is I was curious to see how its ratings were doing. And it actually premiered with a very, very strong rating. That said, every week it's lost about 1 million viewers each week of a drop-off. That is not a good sign, bro. So I'm curious to see where it'll level out at. And because, like, anything can premiere strong, but it's never a good sign when it drops viewers. But that's relatively, that's expected in the first 2 weeks. But really, when it's like 4 or 5 weeks in, that's when you start to see like where it's going to be. And so far, it's been a downward trend of over 10% every single week. So without the star power, I don't know how well this show would be doing. And I'm curious to see if it'll get a second season. That said, in terms of this episode, right?
Yeah, so to be clear, I didn't watch it. I think I did mention that earlier. So, Bijan, can you give us kind of a high level? It doesn't sound like it was any better.
High level, I wouldn't be able to give you guys much of a review of this. I don't take notes, but what I will say is it did have a very strong highlight. The beginning of this episode, going through the motions, the same. How do I say this? There's just not a huge variety of competition where it's edge of your seat. Most of the time, you can just look at these competitors and the bigger, buffer person's going to win. That said, they did introduce a new obstacle that I did find very entertaining and cool. It was this giant chain on a ball, right? Made out of concrete. And these guys had these, like, The Rock was talking about Thor, like Thor's hammer thing. It was this giant, like hammer thing that you have. And basically, you just got to break it apart. But there's actually strategy involved with this, which I appreciated. Sorry, once again, bar is low, y'all. But with this, basically, they can pull up. Basically, the main goal of this is to pull up the ball to the top, like similar to a Hercules hoist in Spartan Race, or it's on a rope. You got to pull a chain down on a lever and basically raise it up. Terrible explanation, but look it up. Anyways, the less that you break this ball, like pieces off this ball, the heavier it's going to be. So it's up to you to determine how much you want to break off and go for lifting it up. The more heavier it is, the more you're going to wear yourself out, and maybe you won't be able to do it. And you have to do this for 2 of them. So it actually involved a lot of strategy, and I appreciated that. Because cardio is also a part of it. And we saw this really, really buff dude, like really buff, compared to like this skinny, lanky dude, once again. Really in shape, but like not even close. And of course, the buff dude wins, but it was at least somewhat entertaining. Long story short, though, I mean, whatever. Going into the final, and probably the best personality of the season was this guy with a very cool background. He was a Purple Heart, basically he's a veteran, still works in Iraq or in Afghanistan, being a kind of like a bodyguard, or he's kind of like special forces and gets high priority targets or like people with immense power safely to different destinations. And he basically lost, close friends of his through the war and received a Purple Heart. Like, really cool guy, amazing story. And he ended up winning. And then it was this big buff jag dude versus this guy who's fit and athletic. And going into the Mount Olympus, I mean, for me, it's always been, well, the fit guy's going to win. Buff dudes do well up until this point, and it wasn't even close. The buff dude couldn't even get past the little spinning part, Rich, where it goes uphill. I mean, it was just a joke of a thing.
Really?
Yeah, he couldn't even figure that out. Like, he couldn't jump up high enough.
3rd obstacle out of 7, right?
Yeah. So,
Ouch.
I mean, it was just whatever. But we had an amazing moment in the females finale or whatever, Mount Olympus, where one of the females had a background where she had been injured, got a really nasty knee injury before, and she overcame that. Like, she healed up and she went back into sports and everything like that. So you remember this part of Mount Olympus where you got to punch like a wall, holes into a wall and climb up it?
Yeah.
So she gets to the very top of it, tries to reach up to that little edge part, to grab it, and she slips and falls all the way down and lands right on her bad knee.
Oh, jeez.
And she is down screaming in pain for like a good minute, while the other woman is, going through and everything. And they just keep filming her. Like, nobody's going to help her. And I'm like, what's going on? Help this woman, But hang on.
I think this is the most excited I've been for Titan games, to be honest. The anticipation is killing me here. So she fell and she hurt her knee. What happened next? I need to know.
Well, she slowly like crawls up, like a phoenix or whatever, and literally hops on one leg to this wall that she fell from, and this is a very high wall. And she basically climbs up this wall with basically her arms and one leg and gets to the very top and keeps going, dude. And she actually completes more and more obstacles while the other woman is still, sliding down the sled and breaking the brakes at the bottom. Like, it was an amazing, amazing story and amazing to see and amazing to run. Obviously, she lost, but I gotta say, props to that woman. And yeah, that's my review of Titan Games.
Wow.
I don't know what to tell you. Maybe we'll go back and watch the very season finale, but I have no interest in watching it each week.
Yeah. It's not fun to cover. It's not even that fun to watch. Maybe once it gets gets to the finals, we'll take a look at it and see. Anything else you want to mention before we go?
NyQuil is dope.
All right, so that is it for this week. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can reach me as rich@ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Hit me up at Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151. Oh my God, I'm so sick.
All right, thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a sickness-free week.
Peace, love, and deuces.